Hello, and welcome to Bold Hearts, a production of the American Heart Association in Central Indiana to highlight the great work being done to help Hoosiers live longer, healthier lives. I'm Annessa Chumbley, and I'm so excited to host this 5-part series where we will dive deeper into how the American Heart Association is impacting people in Indiana. We're going to provide you with tips and takeaways to help you and your loved ones live healthier. This year is the 100th anniversary of the American Heart Association, and you may know them for what they've done on a national and even global scale. So since 1924, the American Heart Association has been a leader in the fight against heart disease and stroke. They funded cutting-edge research and have been a part of discoveries such as new surgical techniques, new medical devices, and life-saving drugs. They've also been on the forefront of health education, helping people learn how to eat a healthier diet, how to exercise more, and how to reduce other risk factors for heart disease and stroke, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, and smoking. They've been a leader in developing the life-saving skill of CPR to save the lives of those experiencing sudden cardiac arrest, and they've done so much more over the course of 100 years. Today, the work of the American Heart Association focuses around 5 pillars. Those are women, addressing community need, ending e-cigarette and tobacco use, controlling blood pressure, and improving nutrition security. So this series will take a closer look at each of those pillars so we can learn more about what the American Heart Association is doing right here in Central Indiana. Today, we're going to be talking about an exciting new program that is addressing nutrition security as a way to reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. I'm so excited to be joined by Amanda Mills, the Executive Director of the American Heart Association in Indianapolis, and Mary Dubinin, Director of Community Collaboration with Gleaners Food Bank of Indiana. Now, later in this show, Sonak Pastakia, Professor of Pharmacy with the Purdue University Center for Health Equity and Innovation, will be joining us remotely. Okay, welcome you both to the show. You guys know this is my favorite topic, nutrition and health and all of that. Mary, let's start with you though. Let's start very basic. Tell us what nutrition security is, and then let's talk about the prevalence in Indianapolis.
Yeah, well, welcome. Well, thank you for having us on the show. Nutrition insecurity and food insecurity, these are terms that are used interchangeably, but quite honestly, they're terms that define whether an individual or a household is unable to access or afford enough food or enough nutritious food to maintain sort of a healthy lifestyle. And what we have been seeing really since COVID, quite honestly, is that the rates of food insecurity continue to increase in Indiana. Most recent data from the United States Department of Agriculture state that in Indiana, about 1 in 7 Hoosier households are facing food insecurity or nutrition insecurity. So, if you think about that, 7 households, 1 in 7 will experience food insecurity, nutrition insecurity.
That's incredible. What are some of the challenges, though, with getting nutritious food? Is it that there's not a grocery store nearby? Can you tell me about some of that?
Yeah, that actually is one. And nutrition insecurity isn't an issue of not enough food to go around. Quite honestly, it's how do we access it, and some of our families just are not able to afford it. The challenges, as you had pointed out, many neighborhoods lack a full-scale, just a full-scale retail grocery store. You might find a convenience store or a gas station type of convenience store that just doesn't have the full range of products that you would see in a grocery store. A lot of our neighbors that suffer with food insecurity lack transportation. Either they don't have a private vehicle to get to a grocery store, or they may live far enough from the bus line that it does make it challenging, certainly, to walk to the bus line, get on the bus, coordinate some of those transportation times and so forth. And again, many of our families don't have the skill sometimes on meal planning. And we have seen that with some of our pantries as well. We'll give them fresh produce, but many will say, I don't know what to do with zucchini. I don't know what to do with eggplant, right? So it's sometimes those skills are lacking as well.
Well, and you think about practically being a single mom, here I am a single mom. I can imagine a single mom taking the bus to work. Thinking about stopping at the grocery is probably the last thing on your mind when you're doing all the other things.
For sure.
So we've got some really cool things to talk about today. Amanda, can you bring it together for us? How does nutrition and security impact heart health and the work that you do with the American Heart Association?
Yeah, absolutely. Healthy food, or rather lack of healthy food, impacts nearly all of the risk factors for heart disease and stroke. So you think about high blood pressure or high cholesterol, obesity, blood sugar, and diabetes. All of those are key risk factors for heart disease and stroke. And so having a healthy diet is critical to your overall well-being.
The answer to a lot of it starts and ends with food, right?
It does.
Okay, so you guys have something exciting that has happened. Tell me, if we could paddle back in time, the grant, when this all started, your guys, the American Heart Association's connection with Gleaners and iYouth Health. Who wants to start that? Who can bring it all together? Amanda, why don't you start? We'll start, and then we'll ping pong to Mary, okay? Because this is exciting stuff.
Very exciting. We were so thrilled to receive a 3-year, $1 million grant to work collaboratively with Gleaners Food Bank and Purdue Center for Health Equity and Innovation. This is really kind of the first of its kind where we brought the strengths and expertise of these different organizations together to look at a solution that was really going to benefit our communities. So we're so excited to have really launched this program. It'll be very comprehensive, so we'll be able to be implementing nutrition security screenings and have referral programs into this program where then we will connect with the resources, with the education, and most importantly, with the healthy food. So we have food lockers that have been placed within iYouth Health Methodist in the old gift shop there that are refrigerated. Yes, refrigerated and frozen food lockers. So when you think about some of the obstacles that Mary was talking about, it's, there's a lack of access to those healthy foods, transportation issues. We were very specific in choosing this location because it's right off of a bus line. We wanted to remove as many barriers as possible. And we're also allowing access 24 hours a day. So depending on those different schedules, it's going to be open and available.
So single parent works overnight, they can still come and stop by no matter what hour it is.
Exactly.
So how practically, can you walk me through the steps if someone is receiving this? How does that get scheduled? What does pickup look like? And what's in these boxes of food?
Right. It is. It's honestly just an innovative way of really taking the traditional food pantry model that we think of. Going to maybe a faith-based location or a school, going into a room and picking out food. We're trying to remove that barrier. For that reason, is that we do have a lot of working families that are still nutrition insecure. So how do we meet their needs as well? So that's where the food locker concept comes into play. Is that individuals will be able to place an order on our Gleaners to Go sort of an app. So they have really access to all the food inventory that we have at Gleaners. And so it's not going into a small room and picking things off a shelf. You have access online to really a large variety of different foods that Gleaners will have at our warehouse. And you customize your order, which isn't that the coolest thing?
That's amazing.
So that you can customize foods that you're going to eat, your family's going to eat, culturally relevant, dietary preferences or any restrictions that you might have. So you pick foods off the online ordering platform, create your own order. Our volunteers at the Gleaners Food Bank will fulfill the order. We will deliver that order to iYouth Health, to the Nutrition Hub, and load the lockers. We have a refrigerated and a freezer section, so we'll load it up with your particular order. Then you come with an access code that we provide for you. Punch in your code on a day and a time that's convenient for you, and you get your food out of the lockers and go home either on the bus line or in your own private vehicle.
That is brilliant.
Yes.
I have so many more questions. This is such an exciting program. We've got to get to break, but we're gonna be with Sonak and then we're gonna come back. So we've got more to talk about, you guys. We have so much more to learn about the program, especially about how nutrition positively impacts health. And we're gonna get to that when we return. Welcome back to Bold Hearts, one of a 5-part series by the American Heart Association to celebrate its 100th anniversary and help Hoosiers live longer, healthier lives. Today, we've been focusing on nutrition, and I've been joined by Amanda Mills and Mary Dubinin and Sonak Pastakia. So before the break, Amanda was sharing details about an exciting grant the American Heart Association received last year to work with Gleaners Food Bank. IU Health and the Purdue Center for Health Equity and Innovation to address nutrition insecurity in downtown Indianapolis. So now I want to bring in Sonak. He's joining us from his place in Indianapolis remotely. Sonak is a professor of pharmacy at Purdue. But Sonak, I understand you've been working on nutrition insecurity and what we call the food as medicine programs around the world. This sounds fascinating, so interesting. Tell us about some of these programs.
Great. So for me, when I was in my training in my early days, the HIV pandemic was the viral pandemic of my generation. And so I found it highly unacceptable that in places like Kenya and other places in sub-Saharan Africa, you simply couldn't get access to medications, whereas in high-income countries like the US, you could. So I spent most of my formative years learning how to treat HIV clinically. And fortunately, I was able to get a job to work full-time in Kenya with one of the largest HIV programs in the world, a program called AMPATH. And what I realized very quickly was that all this training that I had done to learn how to manage HIV clinically simply didn't address all the needs. And so I was fortunate to join a program that had realized this and had established one of the largest medical nutrition therapy programs in the world. So the AMPATH program started treating people with HIV with medications and, more importantly, with food. And at the height of our program, we were providing nutrition support to over 30,000 people living with HIV and distributing over 30 to 35,000 kilograms of food each month. And once we started doing this is when we really started to see the improvement in outcomes and helped people with HIV live a life that treated HIV as a chronic disease and no longer was the death sentence it previously was. So for me, food as medicine has been part of my care approach since my early days, since 2007 when I first joined the program in Kenya. And I'm excited to bring it to Indianapolis, where we're dealing with a different epidemic of chronic diseases and diabetes, but the nutrition issues loom just as large for diseases like that as they do for HIV in places like Kenya.
Wow, Sonak, I mean, I love that you saw a need and you did something about it. And from my vantage point as a dietitian, it's no surprise that food is an essential piece of the puzzle. Okay, so you're doing that now here in Indy, is that correct?
Correct.
So tell me, I know one of the goals of the programs in India is to address cardiovascular risk factors. Have you seen positive results in combination when you have done the food as medicine programs here?
Yeah, and so we recently completed a pilot with diabetes, and what we saw fairly quickly was that medications without nutrition support simply doesn't round out the picture. And so once we're able to combine those two things, that's when we see dramatic reductions in blood sugar and dramatic improvements in the lifestyle and the quality of life that patients are experiencing. And in this new project that we're doing, we're going to be dealing with cardiovascular risk and patients with cardiovascular disease. And with the results we've seen with diabetes, there's no doubt in my mind that we'll see similar reductions in some of the things that really compromise quality of life. And we're going to see the similar reductions in things like cholesterol, blood pressure, and all these other risk factors that we know compromise the quality of life and also the length of life. So as we get started on this, I'm already expecting to see dramatic positive results, with the hope being that once we finish this pilot, we can scale it up to all the patients who need it. And I think it's just one of those essential parts of care that we've dismissed for far too long within the healthcare system. And I can't wait to make it available for everybody.
I would say amen to that. So if I am a viewer watching and I want to be connected with your programs, how would I access that?
Yeah, so we are doing a multifaceted program that's serving IU Health patients with the highest level needs. So patients who have surgical needs, they tend to need the most nutrition support. Then we're also supporting outpatients at IU Health. And then lastly, we're also supporting community health members who don't have needs yet. And so by doing this three-pronged approach, we're basically trying to address health needs through nutrition at every level of the healthcare system. And so one of the main ways that people can get connected to this is that we're employing a good number of community health workers who will be going out to communities and mobilizing and finding ways to link people to the services they need. So if you want to be connected, it's either come to IU Health as a patient or be in the communities that we're serving and reach out to the community health worker.
So supportive. Okay, so from what I understand, one of the key components about the program here in Indy is pairing the people receiving nutritious food with a community health worker. Do I have that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so tell me about the role of that community health worker and why you think that might be important to the success of the person trying to improve their health.
Yeah, and having a community health worker who comes from the communities we serve is just a vital component. And it basically allows us to find a way to connect with people in ways that healthcare systems traditionally haven't connected. And having somebody who understands the real world challenges that people in the community face every day helps to break down some of those barriers and build the trust with healthcare systems as they try to take on some of these social determinants of health that have long prevented people from even accessing the healthcare system. So this community health worker is a vital component of this because it not only increases their access to resources, but gives them a coach and a pathway to really sustain these changes that we're encouraging people to do. And so the community health worker is a vital component of everything we're doing because we're hoping to really build strong connections with the communities we serve and the patients when they go back home.
Wow, what a barrier breaker program. And I think you said it best. We need that human connection for any kind of sustained change. So where can we follow you and make sure that we stay on top of these programs and see their outcomes?
Yeah, and so I'm on Twitter. I'm on all of these different social media platforms. I think you're welcome to search my name. My name is pretty unique, so you'll have an easy time finding me. But also follow the page for the Purdue University Center for Health Equity and Innovation. We're doing a wide variety of things that respond directly to the social determinants of health. Things like providing vaccinations at food pantries, figuring out ways to address nutritional needs in schools. All of these things that health systems need to start doing are the things that we're really starting to get really good traction on. So I encourage people to follow Purdue University's Center for Health Equity and Innovation page and find out about some of the work we're doing to address some of these barriers.
Awesome. Well, Sonak, I applaud the work that you're doing and look forward to hearing more from you in the future. That was such great information. Everybody stay with us. We got to take a break, but we're going to be back with more from Amanda and Mary in just a few minutes. Stay right there. Welcome back to Bold Hearts, one of a 5-part series by the American Heart Association to celebrate its 100th anniversary and help Hoosiers live longer, healthier lives. So today we're focusing on nutrition, and I'm joined by Amanda Mills, the Executive Director of the American Heart Association in Indianapolis, and by Mary Dubinin, the Director of Community Collaboration with Gleaners Food Bank of Indiana. Okay, you guys, so we talked with Sonak. That was so fascinating. I think I could have talked with him for a lot longer. And then the program that is being launched is so intriguing. Mary, I want you to talk about, you mentioned before how people in Central Indiana are both food insecure and nutrition insecure, those two different things. What do you think some of the challenges are of the current food pantry system? Because what you guys are doing is so different.
Yes, it's very innovative. You know, what we've learned is that in order to keep up with the rates of food and nutrition insecurity, we needed to think outside the box. And the traditional model of what we consider of a food pantry is just not going to work, and it won't serve the needs of our Hoosiers. So by using food lockers and technology, quite honestly, we're able to really meet the needs of working families, those who have access to the internet, have an app and phone savvy, and really don't mind working with the food lockers. The traditional food pantries are limited in locations, for instance, time. They might be open 2 hours every other week or 2 hours per month. For a working family, that just does not work. So how do we address the food insecure needs of that working family? Or do we just say, well, sorry, we're not going to meet your needs? So we've had to be innovative with home delivery, with our online ordering platform, and then these food lockers. We really want to meet the needs of the community and really address food insecurity, nutrition insecurity, again, where it makes the most sense with our community.
Yeah, I feel like if there was another theme of this show, it's taking down barriers to help the public. And Amanda, where did this idea come from? How did this all come together?
You know, it really came from just understanding the need. So we do a community assessment. Obviously, nutrition security, as mentioned, is just a huge need in our community. And so what's great about living in Indianapolis is it's such a collaborative group, so we can bring these ideas together and think a little bit differently about how we're addressing them. We're very solution focused, and I think that's where we were able to come up with this idea.
That's so encouraging to hear. So if I'm somebody watching thinking, I need that, how would they access it?
Well, initially we're going to focus on surgical patients there at IU Health, but eventually as we get the process down, as you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts here. But as we get the process down, we're certainly going to expand it to those living within that community in zip code 46202.
That's fascinating. I love it. Being a foodie, I love it. Okay,
Yes.
Amanda, I've got a big question for you because it's been a big year for the American Heart Association, their 100th anniversary. What's your vision for American Heart Association in Central Indiana for now and the future?
Our vision is to advance health and hope for everyone, everywhere. So you mentioned, removing barriers has been really a theme, and it truly is. We want to be in the communities that need us most. We want to be implementing programs just like this, so we are addressing our risk factors for heart disease and stroke, because when we do that, nearly 80% of heart disease is preventable.
Wow.
So we can make a huge impact on, chronic diseases and promoting that longer, healthier lives for everyone. So expanding our current work that we're doing, being innovative and implementing more work, whether that's around nutrition security, managing hypertension, women's health, CPR training in the community. That's really our vision, that is to continue to make sure that everybody everywhere has that same opportunity for health.
Such a passionate group you guys are. I love that. Increasing, how did you say it? The health and hope?
Health and hope.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've got a couple more minutes. So tell me, Mary, what it means to Gleaners to be involved in this innovative kind of, can I say, pilot program?
Yes, definitely. As part of my role with just collaborating with other community partners, this is really an ideal situation where we are, as Amanda had really alluded to it, bringing the strengths of organizations that do a great job individually, but when we pull together, we really can benefit the community. The American Heart Association brings really the nutrition education component, the community health worker. Gleaners has the food down. We do the food lockers and the ordering, and we can access all the different food. But when you combine those type of resources together, that neighbor that lives in that community is going to really benefit. And that's really, I think, the focus of all of our organizations, IU Health, Purdue University, American Heart, as well as Gleaners.
I love that. One of my mentors used to say, a trouble shared is a trouble halved. And I feel like you said, you see a need and you help with it. So that's such inspiring work that you both are doing, that you all are doing. Anything else to add?
Oh gosh,
We've covered a lot of it.
We covered a lot. We're so excited, and the need continues to be there. And so, if you are interested in learning more or supporting this type of work, please come see us. Please reach out. You can find our information, of course, on Heart.org.
And you can always volunteer, right? There's
Absolutely.
always going to be work to be done.
Yes,
right. And it's always
work.
changing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. You both have been such a blessing to this show and fun for me to interview. All right, you guys, today's show is one of a 5-part series about the American Heart Association and their work here in Central Indiana. If you want more information, just scan the QR code on the screen to find the other 4 episodes on the association's Midwest Region YouTube page. And if you'd like to learn more about what the American Heart Association is doing here in Central Indiana to help people live longer, healthier lives, just visit their website at heart.org/Indianapolis. You can also follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and X, or formerly Twitter, with the handle @AHA Indiana. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.